FTR versus Jungle Boy and Dwarf Dong Sucker. And Dino Douche didn't even stay at ringside because the little freak wanted to do this on his own, but Tully stayed with FTR, so they literally, FTR and their manager, had an opposing team that weighed less than 250 pounds combined. Think about it, because what, Jungle Boy's, what, they built him 160? Dong Sucker's what, 90 pounds? 85 pounds? Well, here's another friendship I'm going to end. I wish it had got a chance to go longer. And first, I will say this. Remember when Jericho and all these guys do promos, they talk about the freedom they've got, that Tony Khan gives them the freedom to create, the freedom to do their art, the freedom to develop things, right? They've all got this freedom, right? You've heard about freedom.
Yeah.
Why in the world did FTR or Tully Blanchard not use that freedom to sit down with Tony Khan? I'm going to explain something to everybody. Here's the way that main event talent would sit down and talk to an experienced booker. Politely, not as savage as me, not as rude as me, but they would talk to an experienced or an inexperienced booker. Whether it was Tully or FTR saying it, they could have sat down with Tony Khan and they could have said this: look, you pay us a lot of money. And the reason you pay us a lot of money is so that we can return that favor by being an attraction for you. You've got the best in-ring heel tag team in the world in any company, and you've got an iconic single heel, figurehead of the Horsemen and the NWA Crockett Promotions glory days, second-generation wrestler whose father was a wrestler and promoter, who's seen it all. And you pay us a lot of money so that we can go out there and outperform everybody else and have great matches. If we have any decent opponents, we have any angle or issue that has any interest or credibility in it whatsoever, we can produce TV ratings because we can produce great television for you. We can give you TV ratings. We can maybe sell some pay-per-views, and we can sell some tickets when that is a thing again. If we're used in a certain way to give the people confidence in us so that our talent can show. And as I said, if we have any kind of decent competition, opposition, and an interesting, believable angle. If you want to give us Jungle Boy, they should have said, we would love to work with that kid. And if we have to, we'll take the fucking dinosaur with him. He's not very bright and he's awkward, but he looks the part, and we'll be able to get something out of him if he closes his mouth and opens his ears and listens. And we can do business with those guys. But if you put us in joke matches with joke talent on TV, especially on TV, if you have us wrestling this match with this, I mean, just call him what he is, a little fucking goof, a little obnoxious goof that kills off every heel's heat by confronting them and flipping them off with the finger, and that fucking face. I'm not saying they should have said this to Tony Khan, but I can't imagine how this guy's a baby face, because every male watching should be wanting to say, I'd like to grab that little fucking prick and squeeze him around the neck until his britches were full. He's obnoxious. He's a joke. But they could have said, if you put us in the ring with a guy like that, nobody's going to take it seriously. It diminishes our value to you in front of the fans, because anybody who sees that will never take us seriously in a main event position or as seriously against credible opposition, real wrestlers. They'll remember us as having done joke matches with a midget. So you're paying us a lot of money now, and if you devalue us, then we won't be worth that much money the next time that we come to sign a contract. And also, if the fans see us bumping around and stooging for this little fucking freak of nature and obviously being phony, it just makes us two more of the boys and nothing to fucking take seriously, and we will be worth less to you or anybody else when it comes time for us to sign another contract. So to save you from having one of your prime pieces of talent devalued, and to save us from getting less money next time because we've been made to look stupid on your television program, we're not going to do this match. We're not going to work with Marko Stunt. It's embarrassing and it's insulting to us to ask that, and we're not going to do it. Do you think he would have fired him? Do you think Tony Khan would have fired FTR and Tully Blanchard because they took a stand and said, no, we have more pride in what we do than to work with that idiot just to be a spectacle on your fucking program? We're serious. This is our profession. We want to draw you money, and we're not going to let you bury us. With all the other freedom to do every goofy thing that they can think of that all these guys have, would Tony Khan have honestly fired them for saying, no, we'll work with the other guys. We'll do whatever you want. But no, this ain't going to work for us. We're not going to get in the ring with this fucking clown. Would he have fired him? What do you think?
I presume he wouldn't have.
Well, then that means that FTR have just rolled over and decided to play dead. And there's another fucking great tag team and two quality guys that I now regret ever saying anything good about. Maybe Tully doesn't give a fuck anymore. He obviously knows. You could see the look on his face. He was cringing sometimes at just what was going on. He knows it's a joke, but he hadn't had a check from the wrestling business in 30 years. So maybe he doesn't want to rock the boat. But I can't believe that FTR went with this. Just working with this guy validates him as somebody who ought to be allowed to do this, and that's not the case. But especially a multiple segment match where they were bumping for him. When after they hit the goof with two things, that should have been it. They bumped for him. Then they hit him with everything in the world. And they got heat on him. And then at the same time, he would come back moments later. At some point, you've got to have enough pride in what you do or enough self-respect as a man and say, no, this is not something I'm going to be doing. It's happened hundreds, if not thousands, if not tens of thousands of times in the wrestling business. And it should have happened here. They're already, FTR, severely compromised as draws or as top guys due to the completely botched booking since the day they started here. And the loss to the young fucks. And the way that it was done. And nobody could figure out whether they were heels or not. Nobody could figure out whether the Bucks were heels or not. They gave the match away with minimum build because they didn't know how to fucking do it. And it wasn't as good as anybody thought that it would have been because they did more of the Bucks shit and less of their shit. Right after this match, FTR is as dead as any type of attraction on this program, and probably the biggest personal disappointment to me of anybody that I've been a fan of, because I thought these guys were serious. And they even left a company where they were going to get treated like jokes to come to a company where they're treated like worse jokes. Dong Sucker was the whole focus of this thing. He lived through that long set of heat. Jungle Boy got a comeback and then tagged the fucking dwarf back in, and he was back on offense. And they stopped him again. Tully even posted him. And then they finally hit their finish. Who would have thought that it would be an FTR match that would finally just make me say, fuck this whole show? Because that's what happened. When this was over with, I turned it off. I was looking forward to seeing Serena Deeb because I assumed that was probably, and I can tell you, I didn't watch this, but I can tell you what happened. Serena Deeb went out and had the best wrestling match on the show. She's the only real professional they've got, apparently. And then Darby Allin and Brian Cage did everything that has ever been done, and nobody sold shit, and they all got up from it. And then somehow or another, Darby won, but then the heels tried to kill him, but then the snow started, and there was a 100% chance of Sting in the forecast, and he came out, and they all ran away, and he looked at everybody, and nothing happened. How close am I?
He hit Ricky Starks with a bat.
He touched him? Yeah. He touched somebody?
Well, the bat touched him. Technically, Sting didn't touch him. Maybe he has a Lloyd's of London policy on his hands.
Yeah, on his back or whatever. But basically, everything else was right except for that on those last two matches.
The Serena Deeb match was good. It was the best we've seen out of Ty Conti. I don't know exactly how to pronounce her name, but makes sense because she had trained with Serena Deeb. I guess she was part of developmental.
Okay, well, then that makes good sense.
Yeah, but that was good. I can't say anything bad about that.
I knew it would have been if I hadn't been so disgusted by the complete evisceration and castration of the best in-ring heel team in the business. I would have watched the rest of this program. But I'm sure after, let's see, whenever the ratings come out or the quarter-hour ratings, let's see who turned this program off after that little obnoxious midget got finished killing all the top talent. Because I can't believe I'm the only one that turned this show off after seeing that fucking exhibition.
You know, like you, I'm disappointed FTR were in this match, and certainly that they gave him as much as
Does everybody see now why I never seriously considered the Tully spot? I guarantee that motherfucker would have sold a racket shot. I'd have made sure he sold that. He would have had no goddamn choice but to sell that fucking racket shot. That would have been my notice. Instead of going through that whole, instead of going through that whole goddamn conversation that I just said that Tully and FTR should have told Tony Khan, since if they'd have booked that match and I'd have been their manager, I said, well, I got news for you. If you're stupid enough to book this fucking match, you're not serious about any of us. So I'm going to give my notice tonight in a very special way. And I would have put the horseshoe in the tennis racket and creased that little fucking dwarf skull with it as my notice.
I'm sure you would have brought him right to Altoona. But what I was going to say is, I hate that they gave him that much in the match. It's ridiculous. It looked ridiculous.
It's a ludicrous visual to even book this.
They are so good. And
circus freak as a wrestler, but for them to go out there and bump around for it.
And we haven't seen them do anything in a while. Really, they have done nothing since they lost the tag titles.
No, except bemoan the fact that they lost.
Now, to my earlier point in the show, I'll give a positive here. It's not really a positive now that I think about it. Like I said about Eddie Kingston and Pac, Jungle Boy. Tony Khan has now bought the rights to that song, Tarzan Boy. I guarantee when they have fans in there, they're all going to be singing that chorus, or I guess singing's not the word, howling that chorus.
Yes, I'm sure they will. And of course, and it's only 35 years old, so everybody who criticized my taste in music.
Well, your taste was too Southern. That's probably why people criticize it. But anyway.
A lot more people playing Skinnerd on the radio than playing Baltimore, just so you know.
You can't tell me that Jungle Boy wouldn't be better off. Forget about even Marko Stunt, but Luchasaurus. If Jungle Boy was a singles, if they had a dedicated singles division with an Eddie Kingston and a Pac and a Jungle Boy, none of them are alike. None of them have packs and gangs and cliques. It would be so much better. Jungle Boy has a lot of potential. Having the ridiculous Marko Stunt with him is a mistake. I don't even think he should be with Luchasaurus anymore. I think they should just run with Jungle Boy as a single.
Well, the fucking masked, sock-faced dinosaur is going to hold him back, too, because you can tell he's a goof, and he's an awkward, get-his-shit-in kind of guy. Oh, I got news for you. On the other match we missed, I would have watched Darby Allin and Brian Cage, because Allen's got a lot of charisma, and they've really been pushing him. I was just too disgusted by the rest of this program. But remember we said, what the fuck is that logo on all of Cage's attire? GMSI.
Yeah.
I said, is it a clothing brand? Is it a what the fuck? It's not his initials. He doesn't have a nickname that fits that. You know what that stands for?
I saw, yeah.
On Twitter, people smarten me up. Get my shit in. He was known on the indies, I guess, I don't know whether to the fans or the boys in the locker room, as Mr. Get My Shit In, because he has to get all of his moves in. It's a rib. It's a knock on outlaw wrestlers. They have to get every move they've ever known or learned into a match. He's actually wearing that on his shit, his tights and his T-shirt. And here's another thing. Tony Khan lets him. When I booked something, I knew what the fuck was going on my television program. Every way that everyone was referred to, the weights that they were announced, the hometown that they were announced. I approved their entrance music. I knew what their finishes were because I had fucking approved those too. I knew exactly what was going on. And if I had seen this guy walk up to me with a shirt or having an ass of his tights that said GMSI, I would have said, okay, what does that stand for? And then he would have said, get my shit in. And then I would have said, get more tights. And I would not have let him warn that shit on television, because then people would be asking, like I did, what does that stand for? And if they heard the answer, then that makes wrestling fake. Why do you want to get your shit in a fight? You should want to win the fight in as few moves as possible and not be touched at all by your opponent. Get my shit in indicates that you are a performer engaging in a performance. It doesn't have anything to do with your name or your gimmick. So therefore, you'll take that shit off. You won't wear it in front of people. You will get some more shit that fits your gimmick. But nobody's apparently told him that either. So now we know, just like we can't tell until they expose themselves who the Trump fucks are, we can't tell who the fucking pea-minded outlaw mud show fucks are until they put it on their hat, whether it's MAGA or GMSI. Get my shit in. I told you Starks was the fucking jewel of that. And Cage, I said he's not smart and he's green and he does a lot of stupid shit that a guy that looks like that shouldn't be doing. And son of a gun, wouldn't you know who won the pony? He's one of these guys that wants to get his shit in. Fuck. Ah, the amateurs. So anyway, I didn't delete the recording because I figured I might want to go back and see Serena Deeb later on, but it was less than an hour before we had to record, and I could not watch any more wrestling after seeing FTR completely fucking castrate themselves and cut their dick and balls off and set it there in the ring and willingly flop around for that obnoxious fucking dwarf. So, I may watch it before the drive-thru. I don't know. You have any closing thoughts on this thing?
No, not really. It was, that was how it happened.